of the key things that came out today was from the address given by the Secretary of Energy. And that really resonated with me because he was talking about an approach to energy which uses all sources. And that is a very refreshing thing to hear. It's a non-dogmatic approach, and it's sorely needed in Africa because in a continent which is not properly industrialized yet, they need to be able to use fossil fuels to get richer. Now, in my context, I am the chairman of PAX Data Centers. One needs a stable source of energy to run data centers. And at this point, there is no alternative other than fossil fuels. One does want to green the data centers, and our data centers, although they run on the grid and they have backup diesel generators, we have ambition to run them on solar and wind. Now, what would be great coming out of this is if African governments could put in wheeling regulations. So let me explain that. In other parts of the world, what happens is the renewable energy can be produced in one location and put into the grid and then withdrawn from the grid at the data center, and that makes a green data center. This is because data centers are usually located in urban areas where you cannot put a renewable energy plant. Now, this is done in other parts of the world, but is not possible in Africa right now in the absence of wheeling regulations. If African governments put those regulations in place, an organization like ours, PAX Data Centers, could put in a renewable power plant in the outskirts of Nairobi or 100 miles from Accra, put the electrons into the grid, and be able to take it out in our data center in downtown Nairobi or in downtown Accra. And that's a win-win situation. It would lead to greening, and it would bring hyperscalers to Africa because they're very interested in going into green data centers. The biggest thing happening in the data center space today is AI. Everybody is talking about AI, and folks are building very large data centers, many megawatts, to run LLM models. And that's really the only thing people want to talk about. What I see is that as these LLM models get trained, there probably will be a bit of a glut at the high end. And there will be sort of a redoing of the data center landscape when that is done. But in our markets, in Africa, the focus is on enterprise level data centers. So our data centers are 0.5 megawatt, 1 megawatt, and our focus is on local customers. So in Africa, our ambition right now is not to put in a 15 megawatt data center to run LLM models. Our focus is to put in a 1 megawatt data center, perhaps in Kigali, Rwanda, or in Dakar, and allow banks and ISPs and other institutions to be able to move the data that they have on us in the server, in their offices, into our safe and secure site where there is an internet exchange, where they can be connected to other ISPs, to other financial institutions, potentially to a cable landing station. All of that is less glamorous, but it really adds a lot of economic value and creates a lot of downstream value also. So the way I see the landscape in Africa developing over the next few years and then in the long run is you will have more acceptance of companies, institutions, and governments taking their data and moving them into off-site data centers. And the data sovereignty laws that many countries have put into place will also provide some support for that. Once they are there, then they can access the cloud, be able to access cloud services provided by, for example, US providers. And then when you have data centers which are a megawatt, 1.5 megawatt, that will be the impetus for large hyperscalers to come onto the continent. So it's going to be a bit slow. It's going to be first crawling, then walking, and then running.